for the sake of generating samanya jnana. So all we have to prove is there is samanya jnana of Atma. We are not obliged to prove that there should be indriya sanyoga in Atma. So his vyapti is going to be further clarified by us. That vyapti should not be indriya sanyuktatvam, but what? Samanya jnana vishayatvam or samanya jnanatvam. That's all. That there should be samanya jnanam of the adhishthanam, and there is no need that there should be indriya sannikarsha. If without indriya sanyoga also samanya jnanam can be there, fine. As in case of space also. You don't see the space, but you know the space. So space sakshi bhasyam. So all the sakshi bhasya things, there is no samanya jnanam there, and indriya jnanam is there, but still jnanam is there. And therefore we do not say that Atma is totally unknown. Had Atma been totally unknown, nobody would even know that it is there. If Atma were totally unknown, if Brahman were totally unknown, while discussing in Mandukya Upanishad, they say that when you are denying that Atma is not Nantah Prajnam, na Bahish Prajnam, no Bhayatah Prajnam, na Prajnanagham, na Prajnam, na Prajnam, na Nantah Prajnam, then Atma is not the dreamer. Na Bahish Prajnam, Atma is not the waker. Then na Prajnanaghanam, Atma is not the sleeper. Now then what? You are saying Atma is not the waker, not the dreamer, not the sleeper. Then that covers the complete range of our experience. And if Atma is not there anywhere in our range of experience, then how do you even suspect that it is there? He says, it is very much there in our experience. So we are not denying that Atma is not there in waking state. It is not the waker. That Atma is not there in the dream state. It is not the dreamer. Or we don't even say that it is not the waker. It is not confined to being waker. Waker cannot be unless Atma is, but Atma is not confined to being the waker. Mastani sarvabhutani nachaham teshu avastitah. So everywhere we are very careful in what we say, or we should be. And so we are not saying that Atma is something unknown to us. But Atma is mistaken to be waker, mistaken to be dreamer, mistaken to be sleeper, and that is a mistake of taking Atma to be only a waker. So Atma is known, or what is known is Atma alone, but then that knowledge must be sifted properly. There must be viveka, or discrimination must be there. So if otherwise, if Atma is never known, then it will never become the object of a knowledge. Then you will never know it. In which case, what does it matter? Whether it is Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam, it doesn't matter to us. No, the Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam can be known as it is. When this adhyasa that is there, superimposition that is there, when that adhyasa is eliminated by viveka, then we can come to know the Atma as Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam. Otherwise, we cannot know Atma as Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam. Even if Shruti declares it, so what? Shruti says Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam, Chaturtham Manyante, Sa Atma, Sa Vijnaya. That Atma must be known. When would Shruti say Atma must be known? Only when it can become an object of knowledge. Meaning, only when it can be known. And it can be known as Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam. What's the use of giving Lakshanam if there is no Prama? Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam, Brahma, big deal. But suppose I don't know that, so what's the need of that? And therefore, Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam, Brahma must become also known to me. So they have to tell us how to know it also, that process of knowledge. We do not say that Atma is totally unknown. So, na ekantena vishayatva abhavaha vivakshitaha. Iti abhipretya siddhantavashyam avatarayati. This is abhipraya. Then na ekantena atma avishayaha. That abhipraya, with that abhipraya, siddhantavashyam avatarayati. Now the siddhantavashyam. What is siddhanta? That is means uchyate. That's what Bhashyakara says. So Ratna Baba says, Atmani adhyasa sambhavanam Pratijanite. Bhashyakara now does the pratigna of Atmani Adhyasa Sambhavana. There is Adhyasa Sambhavana, possibility of Adhyasa in Atma. That pratigna, that proposition is first made by Bhashyakara. What is it? Uchyate. That's all. That is Sambhavana pratigna. When you say, this is what we have to say, when will you say something? When you are going to show that Adhyasa is. So in very Uchyate, there is pratigna. that now we propose to show you how Atma can become the Adhishthanam for Adhyasa. Uchyate. So how can it be? It is being said. When we say it is being said, it means that this is where we are proposing. Now that we are going to proceed to show how Atma can become Adhisthana. That itself is pratigna. So we read the Bhashya. Uchyate natavata ayam ekantena avishaya asmat pratyay vishayatvad natavat ayam ekantena avishaya. Well, ayam Atma ekantena avishaya na. Not that the Atma is totally unknown. Avishaya, meaning Jnana Vishaya. It is not that Atma is not the object of knowledge or totally. That Atma is totally unknown. That is not so. Why? Asmat Pratyaya Vishayatvad. Well, Atma is a Vishaya, is something that is known through Asmat Pratyaya. Meaning Aham Pratyaya. Aham, Aham, Aham. In that way, that Aham reveals Atma. So Atma is revealed by Asmat Pratyaya. Says Purnanandiya, why Sambhavana? Utkatakodika samshaya Sambhavana. See, everything there is a precise definition for everything there. Utkatakodika samshaya Sambhavana. What is Sambhavana? Says there, Adhyasa astinava. When there is samshaya, Adhyasa astinava. Is Adhyasa there or not? Iti akaraka samshayasya. What is the akara of samshaya? What is the form of samshaya? Whether Adhyasa is or not. Abhipraya vishayatvad vishayatas astitva, that's iti akaraka samshayasya astitva koti amshehi outkatyam nama prayena karanasya satvat adhyasah bhavet iti abhiprayah. So astinava, in that case, astitva koti amshe. There are two kotis. Astitva koti, nastitva koti. Samshaya has two koti. These two aspects are there, or two pakshas are there, asti and nasti. Adhyasa astinava is there. Then one koti, one category is what? Asti. Other category is what? Nasti. Of that, astitva koti amshe, in that aspect, in that amsha, there is astitva, in that category, he outkatyam. When there is outkatyam, when there is a strongness, that one koti or one category is much stronger than the other category. Outkatyam nama prayena karanasya satvat adhyasa. Prayena karanasya satvat. That there is karanam there for adhyasa being there, and therefore adhyasa bhavet is abhipraya. When we have the abhipraya that adhyasa would be, because there is a karana sattvam, presence of cause or presence of factor for establishing adhishthanatvam in Atma, when that abhipraya is there in our mind, then there is essentially proven that our essential possibility of adhishthanatvam in the Atma or one koti of the samshaya is established. So when one koti of the samshaya is essentially established and there is a slight doubt alone remaining, then that kind of samshaya is called sambhavana. Utkata kotika samshaya sambhavana. In sambhavana also possibility. When we say that is a possibility, they do not say there is certainty. The difference in certainty and possibilities, in possibility there is a general certainty, essential certainty, but not total certainty. If there is a total certainty, we won't say there is a possibility that he will come. I mean, I am fairly sure that he will come. Will he come or not? There is a possibility that he will come. Meaning what? I am fairly sure that he will come. All the reasons for his to come are there. And so I am fairly sure that he will come. But he may not come also. The possibility of his coming is much higher than his not coming, and therefore we call it possibility or probability. So the probability that he will come. So that is called sambhavana. Here we are establishing possibility of the adhyasa. Then the adhyasa is there will be proven by pramana. Actually, the person has come or not will be only proven when he comes, or when you demonstrate that he has come. So, having established a possibility, demonstration still remains for you. Possibility does not establish a thing. Having said the possibility, you must demonstrate. Similarly, here we are at the moment presenting possibility. We are fairly sure that adhyasa is because the reason for adhyasa is there. What is the reason? That Atma can become adhishthanam. That Atma can become adhyasa adhishthanam. So Atma has the qualification of being the adhishthanam of the adhyasa, and therefore we are quite sure of that adhyasa is. That is called sambhavana. And so, iti abhipraya, this particular abhipraya, this opinion or this particular thinking on our part is called, that I am sure, I am fairly sure, that is called sambhavana. Tad vishishta kotihi utkata kotihi. So that particular koti where there is an abhipraya, that is called utkata koti. Tadvan samshaya utkata kotika samshayati uchyate. A samshaya where both the kotis are 50-50, then it is alright. Then it can be either this way or that way. But a samshaya in which there is a slight question, but essentially you are sure, it will be called utkata kotika samshaya or sambhavana. Adhyasa asti iti amshasya abhipraya vishatvat vishayata sambandhena abhipraya vaishishtyam vibhavaniyam. Adhyasa asti iti amshasya abhipraya vishayatvat. What is our abhipraya? Adhyasa asti. Adhyasa asti nava is adhyasa asti. There is adhyasa. Iti amshasya abhipraya vishayatvat vishayata sambandhena abhipraya vaishishtyam vibhavaniyam. That vishayata sambandha is there. That Atma can become the adhyasa vishaya, or it can become the adhishthanam. And so abhipraya vaishishtyam, that particular abhipraya, that adhyasa is, this is what, when Tikakara says this is sambhavana, so we understand that it is Bhashyakara's opinion that adhyasa is. Already that opinion is there because he is fairly sure that the karana sattva is there, and therefore then he makes a presentation. This is called sambhavana. Otherwise you won't understand the trend of the discussion. We must know whether this is samshaya or sambhavana. The trend of the argument shows there is sambhavana, siddhi, and there is no samshaya of the normal nature there. Adhyasam prati adhisthana samanya jnanam eva hetu. Now here he clarifies. Prananda says adhyasam prati adhisthana samanya jnanam eva hetu na indriya sanyoga. That's all. He says that for something to become the adhyasa adhisthana, samanya jnanam is required. Indriya sanyoga need not necessarily be there. If without indriya sanyoga also, if there is samanya jnanam, then it can become the adhyasa adhishthanam. Although in case of shuktika, rajju, etc., there cannot be samanya jnanam unless there is indriya sanyoga. In case of Atma, there is samanya jnanam without indriya sanyoga being there, and therefore Atma can definitely become the adhyasa adhishthanam. Iti abhipretya adhyasa adhishthanatva vyapakam vivranati. So we are going to now modify the vyapaka. And so adhishthanati says Ratna Prabha, adhisthana aropyayoho ekasmin jnane bhasamanatvatram adhyasa vyapakam. So adhyasa vyapakam, adhyasa prayojakam. What is that will do? That will establish adhyasa, or that will prompt the adhyasa. Not that adhyasa will necessarily take place, but then what will prompt the adhyasa? Adhisthana aropa. Here the adhyasa will be there when adhisthana aropyayoho ekasmin jnane bhasamanatvam. Ekasmin jnane, in one cognition. Bhasamanatvam, appreciation in one cognition of adhisthana aropyayoho, of both adhisthana and aropa. So when we say I am sarpaha, this is a snake. That I am, Amsha belongs to Rajju, belongs to Adhisthana, and Sarpa is Amsha that belongs to Aropa, Adhyaropa. So in that particular cognition, I am Sarpaha, there is a simultaneous appreciation of Adhisthana and Aropya. I am Idam Rajatam, when we say, again Idam belongs to Shuktika, that is Adhisthana, and Adhisthana Samanyam, and this Shuktika is Aropya. So in that particular cognition, idam rajatam, there is a what? Ekasmin jnane bhasamanatvam. In one cognition alone, both of them shine. Both adhisthana as well as adhyaropa. So that's the necessary condition that adhisthana and adhyaropa should shine simultaneously in one cognition. And there is a viveka bhava that idam amsha belongs to adhisthana and rajat amsha belongs to aropaya. That viveka not being there, there is what we call adhyasa. When that viveka takes place, there is no more adhyasa. Even though silverness may appear to be there because of the play of the sunlight, glitter. But if you know that it is that silver is adhyaropa, in that case there is a viveka jnanam. In idam rajatam, we know that idam belongs to shrutika and rajata belongs to the aropa, and therefore then there is no more adhyasa. But when that is not known, adhisthana aropyayoho ekasmin jnane bhasamanatvam is what? Adhisthanattva vyapakam. So that is the lakshanam that is required in adhisthana in order for something to qualify as adhisthana. Adhyasa vyapakatvam. Meaning what? Adhyasa rupa adhisthana samanya jnana ityartha. Jnane. Adhyasa rupa adhisthana samanya jnana ityartha. Oh, jnana means adhyasa rupa adhisthana samanya jnana. So ekasmin jnane, so in one perception, one cognition. So samanya jnanam is there of adhisthana and vishesha jnanam is there of adhyaropa. Because in every perception there are two elements, samanya jnanam and vishesha jnanam. Even here also, when I appreciate this flower, there is samanya jnanam, this, and then other vishesha jnanam is flower. So both are there. What happens there? In adhyasa, samanya belongs to one place and vishesha belongs to another place. Therefore it becomes adhyasa. Otherwise in every cognition there are both the elements samanya and the vishesha. What is samanya? Universal, thisness. Objectivity is there in this flower. And that may not be the case. When I look at my face in the mirror, there is no objectivity there that my face is different from me. When I, on the other hand, perceive this flower, there is an objectivity. This flower is different from me. So an object being different from me, that is samanya amsha with all the objects, and that this is a japa kusuma, is a vishesha amsha, then this is whatever it is, this particular flower, tatura, whatever. So that is vishesha about this, And so, then samanya is all of these objects have what? Samanyatvam. That otherness. Objectivity is there in book and microphone and everything. But then vishesha amsha is what? This is book, this is microphone, this is flower. So in every cognition, both the amshas are there. So in adhyasa also, both the amshas must be there. Except that in adhyasa, the samanya aspect belongs to one thing, adhishthanam, and the vishesha aspect belongs to adhyaropa. That's why it becomes adhyasa. And therefore, ekasmin jnane adhisthana aropyayoho ekasmin jnane bhasamanatvam. What is bhasamanatvam? Now that's going to be a matter of content. Bhasamanatvam, shining, shining in one cognition. Both adhisthana and aropa shines, or revealing of both of them in one cognition. So bhasamanatvam vishayatvam iti paryaya hai. Bhasamanatvam means they should become the object of knowledge. Both adhisthana and aropya must simultaneously become the object of knowledge in one cognition. Matrapadena indriya sanyuktatvam indriyatva vishishtvatvena gauravaat na vyapakam iti uchyate. We say that bhasamanatva matram, that they shine in one cognition, that alone is a necessary condition, and the condition that there should be indriya sanyoga is not necessary condition, and what is not necessary need not be there. Because indriya sanyoga creates bhasamanatvam. Indriya sanyoga creates bhasamanatvam, and so bhasamanatvam is what? So Gaurava means becomes cumbersome. When you have too many conditions, then becomes what? Cumbersome. Lagava means what? Brevity. So all the definition must be all brief. It should not have any condition more than necessary because it becomes very cumbersome. So, Indriya Sanyoga, when you say, what's the need for Indriya Sanyoga? Bhasamanatvam. So, Indriya Sanyoga and then Bhasamanatvam also happens. Those two stages are there. We say Bhasamanatvam is a necessary condition. So, that will require, that presupposes Indriya Sanyoga. So, Bhasamanatvam, it didn't presuppose. They think that Bhasamanatvam presupposes Indriya Sanyoga. Therefore, they said Indriya Sanyoga. What they mean is, wherever Indriya Sanyoga is there, Bhasamanatvam is there. Where Indriya Sanyoga is not there, Bhasamanatvam is not there. This is their understanding. We say no, Bhasamanatvam alone is the criterion, and without Indriya Sanyoga also, Bhasamanatvam can be there. So let us make your definition a little more accurate, more precise. What is it? Bhasamanatvam. So Matra Padena, Indriya Sanyuktatvam, Indriyatva Vishishthatvena. That is Indriyatva Vishishthatvam, because that Bhasamanatvam is qualified by Indriya Sanyoga. Indriya Sanyoga Vishishta Bhasamanatvam, then that kind of Indriya Sanyoga Vishishthatvam, if you can eliminate, you need not add that into your Lakshana. Just say Bhasamanatvam. Indriya Sanyoga Vishishta Bhasamanatvam. Bhasamanatvam characterized by an association or contact with the sense organs, that qualification is not necessary, only say Bhasamanatvam. Because when you say Indriya Sanyuktatvam, you meaning Indriya Sanyukta Vishishta Bhasamanatvam. That's what you are saying. We are saying that simplified by saying Bhasamanatvam. So Matra Padena, Indriya Sanyuktatvam, Indriyatva Vishishtatvena Gauravat. Gaurava means not bigness or heaviness. In this case, Gaurava means lengthiness, means cumbrousness they call it. Na Vyapakam iti uchyate. And therefore, this Indriya Sanyuktatvam is na Vyapakam, Bhasamanatvam tu Vyapakam. That's all. Therefore, Ratnaprabhakara says, Bhasamanatva matram adhyasa Vyapakam. Bhasamanatvam ekasmin jnane Bhasamanatva matram adhyasa Vyapakam. Adhyasa Vyapakam means Adhyasa Adhishtanatva Vyapakam, obviously. We are interested in now proving Atma is Adhyasa Adhishtanam. And this discussion is to show that Atma can be Adhyasa Adhishtanam. So Adhyasa Adhishtanatva Vyapakam. He says Adhyasa. That's what now the Ajhal Lakshana he says. So Adhyasa, you should say Adhyasa Adhisthana. Means add the word that is necessary there. Kim nama bhasamanatvam? The question. What do you mean by bhasamanatvam? What do you mean by shining? Or appreciation, shining. Kim nama bhasamanatvam jignasayam phala bhaktva rupam vishayatva rupam chairi dvidam bhasamanatvam iti aha. Kim nama bhasamanatvam? What is meant by shining? Something revealing itself. What do you mean? A thing can reveal itself when what? Phala bhaktva rupam. Whenever something is revealed or whenever something shines, then sudden phala happens. What is the phala? That he will tell us. And then, or whenever something shines, it becomes an object of knowledge. The two elements involved in a flower shining. So when a flower shines, all doubts about what this object is, they go away. Or any error that I may commit about the object also go away. So that is the result of this flower shining. Or secondly, in another way you can say that flower is an object of my knowledge. It has Vishayatvam also. Phalabhaktvam and Vishayatvam. So Phalabhaktvam and Vishayatvam, this is a Bhasamanatvam. Ityaha Tacha iti, so Ratnaprabha says, Tacha Bhana Prayukta Samshaya Nivrityadi Phalabhaktvam. Tat means what? Tacha means Bhasamanatvam cha. Tat Bhasamanatvam cha. What is that Bhasamanatvam? What is that shining? Bhana Prayukta. Bhana means knowledge. So there is Bhanam, knowledge, Bhasamanatvam, knowledge takes place, and this flower shines. The object shines when the knowledge of the object takes place. So, Bhana Prayukta Samshaya Nivrityadi Phalabhaktvam. So, when do we say that the flower shines? When, as a result of knowledge of the flower, any doubt or error pertaining to the flower, they are resolved. Then we say that the flower shines. You see, that is called shining, Bhasamanatvam. And shining can happen when there is knowledge of that object. As a result of the knowledge of an object, When there is elimination of doubt or error pertaining to that object, then we say that the object shines. Bhana prayukta samshaya nivrityadi phalabhaktvam. That bhasamanatva possesses what? This phala. So that this phala is that samshaya or viparya pertaining to this object are eliminated. Then we say that this object shines. It is explained here. Says Ratnapurna, Bhanam means Jnanam. Tat prayuktam yat samshayade nivrittirupam phalam tad bhaktvam tad ashrayatvam. Bhasamanatvam is what? This bhaktvam is ashrayatvam. So Bhanam is Jnanam. That is knowledge of Japa Kusuma. Tat prayuktam yat samshayade nivrittirupam phalam. That any doubt or error that I may have pertaining to this Japa Kusuma are eliminated by the knowledge of Japa Kusuma. So that elimination of doubt, error, etc. pertaining to Japa Kusuma as a result of the knowledge of Japa Kusuma, that is called the shining of Japa Kusuma or Bhasamanatvam of Japa Kusuma. We say that Japa Kusuma shines, the flower shines, because as a result of knowledge of the flower, any doubt or error pertaining to flower are eliminated. Then continues Adhisthana Aropyayoho Atma Ahankarayoho Yad Jnanam Ahamiti Akaraka Adhyasatmakam Tena Atma Ahankara Vishayaka Samshayasya Tad Vishayaka Viparyasya Cha Abhavat Samshayad Nivritti Phalabhaktvam Atma Ahankarayoho Astiti Bhasamanatva Upapattihi Bhavaha. Adhisthana, all this is very important discussion because we are now going into the very root of the problem. So, ahamayam kuto bhavati chinmatah aipatatyaham nija vicharanam. Ahamayam kuto bhavati. Where does aham arise? It is chinmatah, one who contemplates. Aipatatyaham. Hey, this aham patati. The ahankara, it resolves. Because it is proven to be mithya. This is nija vicharanam. This is called atma vichara. And so, now when we are discussing Atma as Adhyasa Adhisthana, Atma becomes, there is a general knowledge of Atma, that Atma shines. When do you say Atma shines? Only when the doubt and error pertaining to Atma are not there, by the knowledge of Atma, then we say Atma shines. So it says Adhisthana Aropyayoho Atma Ahankarayoho. There is simultaneous appreciation of Adhisthana and Aropya when I say Aham Agnyah, Aham Manushya, when I say, then there is simultaneous cognition of Aham, which is Atma, and Manushya, which is Adhyaropa. So Adhisthana Aropyayoho Atma Ahankarayoho Yad Jnanam. That knowledge, Aham Manushya, Aham Agnyah. So Aham iti Akaraka Adhyasatmakam Jnanam. No doubt that knowledge is Adhyasatmakam. Meaning Adhyasa is the very core of that knowledge, of that perception on my part. I am ignorant, I am man, I am woman. Tena Atma Ahankara Vishayaka Samshayasya Tad Vishayaka Viparyasya Cha Abhavat. When I say that I am man, I am ignorant, I am happy, I am unhappy, there is no doubt in what I say, nor there is an error in what I say. Although that knowledge that I am happy, unhappy has adhyasa in it, however, when I have that knowledge, I don't have any doubt about it, I don't commit any error about it, and so that knowledge, aham sukhi, aham dukhi, aham manushya, that knowledge is free from samshaya and viparyaya. And therefore, as a result of the knowledge of aham, there is a freedom or elimination of samshaya and viparyaya pertaining to atma and ahankara. When I say I am sarpa, there is no doubt in my mind that this is sarpa, or there is no error in my mind that this is sarpa. Even though I may be committing an error from your standpoint, from my standpoint I am not, otherwise I won't call it sarpa. See, when I say that this is a snake, I mean it is snake. I mean it. I say it is snake. So there is no snake. I say there is snake. When I say that, there is no doubt in it, nor there is an error. So that knowledge, I am sarpa, that knowledge reveals sarpa and I am, both of them simultaneously, and there is a sarpa possesses bhasamanatvam. So I am sarpa, that possesses what? Bhasamanatvam. the nature of being revealed, because in that revelation there is no doubt and no, as a result of that revelation there is no doubt and no error. So we must understand the meaning of this freedom from doubt and error from the standpoint of the fellow who declares there is no doubt and error. Otherwise there would be no problem. Suppose I doubted that I am dukkhi. Well, fine, that would be good. Or I knew that I am committing a mistake when I say I am dukkhi. Well, fine, then there is no adhyasa. When I say I am dukkhi, I mean it. Otherwise, how can there be tears and all kinds of things, You can see there is horripilation and all sorts of things happens when I am sad. There are tears in my eyes and my face becomes pale and all sorts of things happen. That means I am serious. That means I don't have any doubt or I don't commit any error. That's what is meant here. That is how we say that this Atma and Ahankara, both of them are revealed in that cognition. Tena Atma Ahankara Vishayaka Samshayasya Tad Vishayaka Viparyasya Cha Abhavat Samshayade Nivritti Phalabhatvam Atma Ahankara Asti. And therefore, in those cognitions, Aham Manushya, Aham Agnya, there is this Phalabhatvam, meaning what? Phala Ashrayatvam. That there is no samshaya, viparya, nivrittiru, phala ashrayatvam is there. Iti bhasamanatva upavatti. Therefore, Atma and Ahankara, both of them possess bhasamanatvam. If bhasamanatvam is not defined as indriya sanyukta, indriya sanyoga prayukta bhasamanatvam, merely we say that samshaya, viparya, nivritti, phalabhatvam, bhasamanatvam. That in that appreciation which is devoid of samshaya and viparya, and the object of that cognition possesses bhasamanatvam. If we say that, then we have done away with the need for indriya sanyuktatvam. So we are now defining what is bhasamanatvam. Samshaya, viparya, nivritti, phalabhaktvam. That is called bhasamanatvam. So tadeva. तच्च भान प्रयुक्त संशय निवृत्त्यादि फलभाक्त्वम. This is our definition of bhasamanatvam. There is someone else who has a slightly different definition of bhasamanatvam. Says Ratnaprabha, tadeva bhana bhinnatva ghatitam vishayatvam. Somebody says bhasamanatvam, shining is what? Bhana bhinnatva ghatitam vishayatvam. It is Vishayatvam Bhana Bhinna Ghatitam. Bhana means knowledge. And so, object that shines is something that is different from its knowledge. So, I have this flower in my hand and there is knowledge of flower. Flower is different from the knowledge of flower. What is knowledge of flower? The Jnana Vritti. There is a flower and there is a thought of the flower. It is the thought of the flower that reveals or illumines the flower. So flower is that which is different from the knowledge or the thought which reveals the flower, isn't it? When you say ghata, ayam ghataha, when you say this is a part, when can we say that? Only when ghatakara vritti takes place in my mind. That ghatakara vritti is called ghatagyanam. When you say ghatagyanam, patagyanam, the knowledge of the part, knowledge of cloth, we mean that form of vritti. Ghatakar vritti or patakar vritti. And what is ghata? Ghata is that which is different from ghatakar vritti. Otherwise, if both of them are one, then suppose I remember a part, then ghatakar vritti is there, ghata is not there. And therefore, in that cognition, both two elements are there. Ghata is there and ghatakar vritti is there. So someone says this ghata possesses bhasamanatvam only when it is different from its knowledge. When ghata is different from the knowledge of ghata. So says bhana bhinnatva ghatitam. So being associated with or possessed of that bhana bhinnatvam. Bhana means jnanam. So that object is called, it is called shining when it is different from the knowledge which reveals the object. The knowledge reveals the object and that which is revealed is different. In short, there is what we call vritti vyapti and phala vyapti. What is vritti vyapti? That my vritti or my mind assumes the form of that object. And what is phala vyapti? That Atma or Chaitanyam, consciousness, reflected in that vritti, reveals that vritti. Therefore, we consider the knowledge taking place in two stages. We say that my mind, which is this reflected consciousness, it reaches out from my eyes and contacts a part, assumes the form of the part, and that is what we call a ghatakara vritti. A thought of the form of the part takes place in my mind. But it is jada, and therefore it cannot reveal itself, or it cannot reveal a part also. Then, when Chaitanya gets reflected in that ghatakara vritti, then the reflected consciousness reveals the ghata, or reveals the ghatakara vritti, which in turn reveals the ghata. And so there are two stages are involved, vritti vyapti and phala vyapti. However, in case of Atma, that is not the case. So this bhana bhinnatva ghatinam vishayatvam is alright in general cases. In case of Atma, however, Atma is something that is self-shining. And therefore, the second aspect, the second stage of revealing Atma by consciousness is not required, because Atma itself is consciousness, and therefore vritti phala vyapti rupatvam is not there. Vritti vyapti must be there, meaning that Atma must become the object of my knowledge, but there is no need that vritti must be further, Atma must be further revealed by another Atma. So, therefore we are doing away with the other definition also, which involves one more factor. All we are saying is, when the knowledge of Atma takes place, there is no doubt and no error. We don't care whether phala vyapti rupatvam is there or not. All we mean is what? Knowledge is there, bhasamanatvam is there, when samshaya, viparya, nivritti is there. That's all. And that's in case of Atma, that samshaya, viparya, nivritti can take place without Atma being a vishaya, meaning without having the duality of drashta and drushya. In case of pata, ghatapata, there is a duality. That drushya, the ghatapata, is different from drashta and different from darshanam, ghatavritti. And normally you define that ghata has bhasamanatvam when it is a vishaya of a vritti. So, bhana bhinnatva ghatitam vishayatvam bhasamanatvam tadeva. So, iti kechid vadanti vishesha. This is what some people say. Says tanna vyapakam gauravat. Tanna vyapakam. That lakshana, that definition is na vyapakam, meaning is not prayojakam, or is not the cause for making something an adhyasa adhisthana, gaurava. Because again that is also cumbersome. Because first vritti vyapti, then phala vyapti. We are saying that phala is we are interested in. What is phala? Samshaya, viparya, nivritti. That is the phala. And if it can be there without this bhana bhinnatva, bhana, what is bhana bhinnatva ghatinam? So without bhana bheda, or without the object being different from the knowledge of the object, if the samshaya, viparya, nivritti takes place, that alone should be criterion. Sukta vishayatvaru bhasamanatvam bhan bhinnatva vishishtattvena gauravat na vyapakam. Idea is that we are saying that this is a lengthy definition, and all we are saying is bhasamanatvam means they should have no doubt and error about the object as a result of the knowledge of the object. As a result of the knowledge of that object, when there is no doubt and error pertaining to an object, then we say that object is the object of our knowledge. Whether it is an object or not. It can be Atma, which is not an object. Still we call it an object of knowledge because it serves its two purposes, or it satisfies the criteria that there is samshaya, viparya, nivritti. And so we say that Atma also shines. Ahankar also shines. Because there is no samshaya and viparya. Even though Atma does not become shine, it does not shine as an object, but it does shine, we say, because there is no samshaya. There is no doubt that I am there or not. Aham asmi. No doubt at all. Is there doubt? Aham bhami. Is there doubt? No. So in that aspect Atma shines, okay? There is a doubt whether I am Ananda or not. But there is no doubt aham asmi, aham bhami. And so Sat Chit aspect of Atma shines. Ananda aspect of Atma does not shine. There may be doubt about that. But Sat Chit aspect of the Atma does shine. Aham asmi, aham bhami. So there is no doubt about my existence, there is no doubt about my consciousness. And therefore, that Sat and Chit, they shine because there is nivritti of the samshaya and viparya pertaining to that. Therefore we say that Sat Chit aspect of Atma shines. It's not necessary that there should be Indriya Sanyuga. for it to we call it as shining, or it's not necessary that it should be Vishaya, something different from me, for it to be called an object of shining. All that is necessary is there is no doubt and error. Nobody has a doubt of existence or consciousness, and therefore Atma shines as Sat and Chit. So that is called the Samanya Jnanam of Atma is there. And of course Aham shines as Karta Bhokta. There also there is no doubt. And so both Atma and Ahankara shine simultaneously. Sat-Chit aspect of Atma as well as Kartrutva Bhoktritva aspect of Ahankara, they shine simultaneously. About them there is no doubt also, and therefore Atma shines. If it shines, then it becomes what? That being a shining is the Adhisthana Vyapakatvam. If it shines, then it can become Adhisthana for Adhyasa. That's all. It can become Adhyasa Adhisthana if it shines. Atma shines, and therefore it can become Adhyasa Adhisthana. That's all. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Ashubhani Nirachaste Kanoti Shubhasantabim Smrutimatrena Yat Pumsam Brahma Tanmangalam Param Adhikalyana Rupatvad Nitya Kalyana Samshayad Smartrinam Varadatvacha Brahma Tanmangalam Vidu Omkarascha Shabdascha Dvavekau Brahmanah Pura Kantham Vitva Viniryadau Tasman Mangalikavau Om Atha Om Atha Om Atha Vishaya Vishayinoho Namah Prakashavad Viruddha Svabhavayoho Itaretar Bhavanupattau Siddhayam Tadharmanapi Sutaram Itaretar Bhavanupattihi Ityathacha Loke Anubhavaha Shuktikāhi Rajatavat Avbhāsate Ekaschandraha Sadvitiyavadite Katham Punaha Pratyagatmani Avishaye Adhyasaha Vishayatadharmanam Sarvo hi Purovasthite Vishaye Vishayantarmadhyasyate Yushmat Pratyayapetasya cha Pratyagatmanaha Avishayatvam Praveshi Uchyate Natavata Ayam Ekantena Avishaya Asmat Pratyaya Vishayatvat Aparokshatvat cha Pratyagatma Prasiddhehe. What is known as Sambhavana Bhashyam. So this Adhyasa Bhashya is divided into three parts. One is Lakshana Bhashyam, where the definition of Adhyasa is given. Sambhavana Bhashyam, where the Yogyata, the possibility or the tenability of Adhyasa is established. And Pramana Bhashyam, where the proof of Adhyasa is given. So we concluded the discussion on what we call Lakshana Bhashyam. What is the nature of Adhyasa? That was explained. Now, alright, Adhyasa can be there. Bhavatu Adhyasaha Shuktiyadau. Alright, that there is such a thing called Adhyasa, we accept it. Smriti Rupaha Purvatra Paratra Purvadushtāvabhāsaha Adhyasaha. Smriti Rupaha Smriti Sadrushaha. Like Smriti, like memory, but not quite memory. Memory also is born out of samskaras, adhyasa also is born out of samskara. To that extent, there is similarity between smruti and adhyasa. But adhyasa is not smruti. So, paratra elsewhere, where there is atyanta abhava of a given thing. And so, where there is a total absence, non-existence of a given thing, there the appearance of a thing is called adhyasa. Like in a rope, where there is a total non-existence of snake, so appearance of snake in the rope, which is born of the samskaras of the experience of the snake earlier, this phenomenon is called adhyasa. And that's a matter of common experience, it was pointed out. We said, all right. So now the question is that adhyasa as a phenomenon is accepted. Atmanitu na sambhavati. But adhyasa such as this is not possible in Atma. So katham punah pratyagatmani avishaya adhyasa vishaya tadharmana. Katham punah, how then is it possible? Pratyagatmani, that in the self which is inside, avishaya, which is not a vishaya, meaning Atma is avishaya, and of course the dharma of the vishaya, how can there be adhyasa of vishaya dharma upon the Atma? Because there is no sadrushya. So at least between Shuktika and Rajat there is sadrushya. Both of them are vishaya, and both of them have a glitter. And to that extent, similarity exists between the Shuktika and Rajata. With Atma and Anatma, there is no sadrushya at all. One is vishaya, other is avishaya. And so one is parag, other is pratyak. And so when there is no sadrushya or similarity at all, how is it possible that adhyasa of anatma can take place upon atma? And that impossibility alone is pointed out. So Tikakara said, Yatra paroksha adhyasa adhishthānatvam tatra indriya samyuktatvam vishayatvam chaiti vyāptihi. Shuktyadav drushta is a common experience. Shuktyadav, in such objects as Shuktika, etc., we find as a common rule, as a general rule, Yatra aparoksha adhyasa, where there is a direct adhyasa, aparoksha means pratyaksha in this case, where there is an immediate adhyasa, superimposition, adhyasa adhishthānatvam yatra. So a thing for a thing to become adhyasa adhishthanam or a substratum for adhyasa, such as Shuktyadi, Indriya Sanyuktatvam Vishayatvam cha. Indriya Sanyoga must be there, that the Shuktika must become an object of perception by the sense organ, and Vishayatvam, it must be an object of perception. It should have objectivity. There should be an objectivity as well as there should be a contact of the sense organ with that object. Rope has the objectivity, but if there is no contact of the eyes with the rope, the possible adhyasa is not there. And therefore, both the conditions must be satisfied. That is our common experience. And so it is said, how is it possible? Atma, on the other hand, is avishaya, and it is, so that means there is no contact of the sense organs, as well as Atma is not. Atma is beyond the sense organs, as well as Atma is not a vishaya. So neither of these conditions is satisfied in case of Atma. Therefore, how can there be adhyasa of anatma, ahankara, etc., and ahankara dharma upon the Atma? This is the question here. And he illustrates sarvohi purovasthite vishaye vishayantar madhyasati. It is the experience of everyone that one superimposes one object upon another object. Adhyasa always takes place of something like snake upon the rope. Where snake also is a vishaya, rope also is a vishaya. And therefore that adhyasa is okay. Sarvohi purovasthite, in something that is in front of you, which is available for indriya sannikarsha or contact with the sense organs. Vishaye, and that which is vishaya or that which can be objectified, which can become an object of a knowledge. So where the contact with the sense organ is there, and where an object can become the object of a knowledge, Vishayantara madhyasati. People superimpose one Vishaya upon the other. Yushmat pratyapetasya ja pratyagatmanah avishayatvam bravishi. And you yourself said that Atma, who is Yushmat pratyapetah. Yushmat pratyapetah means idam pratyay anahasya pratyagatmanah. Atma can never become an object of appreciation of idam. I can never appreciate Atma as this, or I can never appreciate Atma as you. So, in order for a thing to become Vishaya, it must be available for appreciation as this or you. And Atma can never be appreciated as this or you. So, Yushmat Pratyay Apetasya ja Pratyagatmanah. Atma is Pratyagatma. And so, indwelling self, and there also not available for sense contact. Avishayatvam Bravishi. You yourself say that Atma is a Vishaya hai. Cannot become the object of perception by the sense organs. Cannot become the object of contact by the sense organs. And therefore, Atma does not meet the qualifications or criteria to become the adhishthanam of Adhyasa. For anything to become adhishthanam for Adhyasa, these two criteria must be there, that Indriya Sannikarshatvam must be there and Vishayatvam must be there. Atma does not fulfill either of the qualifications, and therefore, how can you say that Atma becomes the adhishthanam for Adhyasa of Ahankara and the Ahankara Dharma? Atmani Adhyasa Sambhavanam Pratijana Uchyate. Bhashyakara said, that is being said. Means that Atma is Adhyasa Yogya. Atma can become the Adhyasa Adhishthanam. Pratijanite Uchyate. We are going to tell you. Meaning there is a proposition that we will explain to you how Atma can become the Adhyasa Adhishthanam. Bhashyakara said, na tavadayam ekantena avishaya asmat pratyay vishayatvad. Now here, Tikakara, Ratna Prabhakara gives us another definition of, or another criterion for a given thing to become the Adhyasa Adhishthanam. अधिष्ठान आरोप्ययो एकस्मिन् ज्ञाने भासमानत्वमात्रम् अध्यास व्यापकत्वं व्यापकं तच्च भान प्रयुक्त संशय निवृत्त्यादि फलभाक्त्वम्. We discussed all this last time. अधिष्ठान आरोप्ययो एकस्मिन् ज्ञाने भासमानत्वमात्रम् अध्यास व्यापकत्वम्. We say that अध्यास व्यापकत्वम्, meaning that अधिष्ठान व्यापकत्वम्. Adhishthanatva Vyapakatvam. That a given thing can become the adhisthana or substratum for an adhyasa only when this condition is satisfied, that both the adhisthana and aropya, both of them shine in one knowledge, in one cognition. So when we say I am Sarpaha, this is a snake, there are two things shine simultaneously, I am and Sarpaha. Where I am means this amsha belongs to the rope and Sarpaha is the aropya. So I am is adhishthanam and Sarpaha is aropya. In I am Sarpaha, in that particular cognition, adhisthana aropyaho ekasmin jnane bhasamanatvam. So simultaneous appreciation or simultaneous shining of both adhisthana and aropya is a condition that is required for something to become adhishthanam, and not necessarily that it should become an object of perception. All that is required is samanya jnanam. Condition for adhyasa is there must be samanya jnanam, at the same time the absence of vishesha jnanam. Samanya jnanam, the rajju is there, that it is something, and the absence of vishesha jnanam is there, that it is rajju. So, samanya jnana sattvam and vishesha jnana asattvam. This must be there. And that condition can be satisfied in case of Atma, because Atma, samanya jnana is always there. Aham asmi, aham bhami. And there is also an absence of vishesha jnanam, that aham anandaha, aham purnaha. As a result of that, something about Atma is known and something about Atma is not known. So samanya ansha is known, the vishesha ansha is not known, and so an ahankara shines where Atma is. And so adhisthana aropyayoho, when it's aham manushya, aham purusha, aham karta, aham sukhi. that two things shine simultaneously, aham as well as sukhi. Where aham is the adhisthana amsha and sukhi is the aropya amsha. And that is all that is necessary, that both of them should shine simultaneously. Ahankara and Atma, both of them when they shine simultaneously, well, then the condition for the adhyasa is satisfied. This is a point that we have to make. Meaning we have to modify his definition or his criterion for the qualification for something to become adhisthana. We say that the criterion is not necessarily indriya sannikarsha or vishayatvam. Criterion is only aropya adhisthanayoho ekasmin jnane bhasamanatvam. What do you mean by bhasamanatvam? That appearance or shining in one cognition of both of aropya and adhisthana. In this case, atma and ahankara, both of them shining in one cognition. Bhasamanatvam, meaning shining. So, what is the criterion for this bhasamanatvam? When do you say that something shines or something is known? That a given thing is known, when do you say that? What is it that the knowledge does? Whenever knowledge of a given thing takes place, what does it do? So there also, that is to be properly understood. What do you mean by saying that Atma is known? Says Tatcha means Tatcha bhasamanatvam, bhana prayukta samshaya nivrityadi phalabhaktvam. So bhasamanatvam, knowledge of a given thing is that as a result of knowledge, samshaya nivrityadi phalabhaktvam, that there is no samshaya and viparyaya pertaining to that object, then we say that an object is known. That's all. When an object is known, such as rose, then there is no doubt that this is rose, and there is no error that this is something. It need not even be known as a rose. It is known as an object, that's all. Sometimes we say that, Swamiji, I know it is a flower, but I do not know it as a rose. Does it mean that I do not know the object? You know it is the flower. Even you may not know it as flower. This is rose color. Eyes, this color shines before the eyes as what? Rose color. It is, what do we mean by knowledge is just perception. So this rose color becomes the object of perception of the eyes. With reference to that, there is no doubt that this is this color, and so there is no doubt or error. If there is an error, suppose there is a defect in my eyes, because of which the red color somehow appears as yellow or whatever it is, in which case that would not be called knowledge, because it leaves a doubt. And now it appears as red and then it appears as yellow, then also it will create conflict in my mind. In that case, we will not call it knowledge. However, we will call it knowledge or perception of the object when the object is clearly perceived. It is not necessary that we should know the name of the object or we should have the details of the object. That is not the criterion. Object becomes an object of perception, that's all. That there is something here, there is no doubt about that. And then it is, I may not even know that this is red color, because colors also can be so many. I may not know lavender and stuff like that. I may not know what it is. But then I know that some color is there, so there is a perception of color. And there is no doubt in my mind that this object is perceived. So knowledge does this. It eliminates from my mind any kind of samshaya or doubt pertaining to the object, and viparyaya, any error that may be committed with reference to object. So when that criterion is satisfied, we say that an object is known. Somebody said, Tadeva bhasamanatvam bhan bhinnatva ghatinam vishayatvam. Somebody said that we would say that an object is known only when the object is known as something separate from the knowledge. So there is a rose, and then there is a rose of vritti. So this pushpa is there, and pushpakara vritti is there. And the object shines something separate from that vritti. Now there is chaitanyam that illumines his knowledge, and the object shines as something separate from that chaitanyam. So some person said that the bhasamanatvam, meaning that an object shines or an object is known, we can say that only when object shines distinct from the knowledge or distinct from the knower. Bhan bhinnatva ghatitam. Bhanam means the knowledge. Knowledge of the rose. Rose is different from the knowledge of the rose. When that kind of a duality exists, then alone we say that the rose is known. We said no, that is not necessary. Tanna vyapakam gauravad. He says, why should we insist that a rose should necessarily stand separate from the knower or separate from the knowledge? All that is necessary is that the knowledge should eliminate any doubts and errors pertaining to the object of knowledge. That alone is what we call the criterion for the knowledge. In case of Atma, that happens. Aham asmi, there is no doubt. There is no error also. Aham bhami, there is no doubt or no error also. Ahankar also shines. Aham sukhi, aham dukhi, no doubt or error about that. So in this cognition, aham sukhi or aham dukhi, there is no doubt and no error. So both aham and sukhi, we say both of them shine. Because pertaining to aham also there is no doubt that I am and I shine. And that I am sukhi also, there is no doubt there that ahankara, sukhi dukhi also shines and there is no doubt or error. And therefore, we say that aham sukhi is a knowledge. Because pertaining to aham and sukhi, there is no samshaya and there is no viparya. And so both of them are known. We do not say they are object of knowledge. We say that they are known. For something to be known, it need not necessarily become an object of knowledge. He says for something to be known, it must become an object of knowledge. Object of knowledge is that which stands separate from the knowledge. We say no. A thing need not become object of knowledge, meaning it need not stand separate from the knowledge. All that is necessary is that when we say it is known, that I have no doubt that it is. I have no doubt that it shines. That's all. That this object is, there is no doubt. Now what it is, I may have a question. But that the object is, there is no doubt about that. So the object is known. You must know what is meant by knowledge. Don't ask me that do you know the biology or botany of this object. Not necessary. The object is, that's all. That's the knowledge of perception. And so when I say aham manushya, aham sukhi, aham dukhi, there is no doubt or error committed about aham or sukhi. It's not that I am sukhi and I take myself as dukhi. That doesn't happen. And I take myself different from my, that also does not happen. So about my existence and about my consciousness I don't have any doubt. Or about the nature of ahankara, sukhi, dukhi also, I have no doubt. And therefore we say that both aham and sukhi, both of them are known, inasmuch as there is no doubt or error pertaining to both of them. And so we say that Atma is known. We do not say Atma is object of knowledge. We say Atma is known. Why is it known? Because pertaining to Atma, that I am or that I shine, there is no doubt or error. It's not necessary that I must know Atma as something separate from me. They think that then alone your doubt and error will be eliminated only when you know something distinct from you. Says no, not necessary. About Atma. So that is true for all the rest of the objects. For Anatma it is true that it was something that should stand distinct from me. But Atma doesn't fall in that category, and therefore you should not apply the criterion applicable to the Anatma to Atma also. Because even when Anatma, like a rose, is known as distinct from you, what is the result of that knowledge? Don't worry about the mechanism of the knowledge. What is the result of the knowledge? That pertaining to that object, there is no doubt and no error. Then we say that the object is known. So let us go to the ultimate criterion. That absence of doubt and knowledge pertaining to that object is called the knowledge of object, and not necessarily that the object must stand separate from me, because they are adding one condition which need not be added. If you can simplify the definition, then you need not add any paraphernalia. And so simplified definition is that adhisthana aropyayoho ekasmin jnane bhasmanatvam, and bhasmanatvam is what? Samshayadi samshaya nivrityadi phalabhaktvam. There is nivritti or elimination of samshaya, etc. Alright, I think this far we discussed last time. Now Ratnaprabha on the page 49, the last line says, Ayam Atma Niyamena Avishayo Nabha. He explains Bhashyakara's statement, Natavat Ayam Ekantena Avishaya. Meaning, Ayam means Ayam Atma, Ekantena Niyamena, Avishaya meaning Avishaya Nabhavati. So it is not that, Natavat, it is not that his Atma is necessarily not known. Although Vishaya word is used, we do not mean to say that Atma becomes an object of knowledge. It is not that Atma is necessarily not an object of knowledge, meaning it is not that Atma is not necessarily unknown. Natavat ayam Atma niyamena avishaya na bhavati. You cannot say that Atma is unknown. In fact, Atma is known. Tatra hetumaha. Why do you say that? It says asmat pratyaya vishayatva. So hetu. Why do you say that Atma is not necessarily unknown? Meaning it is known. Asmat pratyaya vishayatvat. Because it is an object of asmat pratyaya. There also the word vishaya has to be understood. The vishaya word is commonly used asmat pratyaya vishayatvat. Because it is an object of asmat pratyaya. What is asmat? Asmat means I. Pratyaya means what? Cognition. So Atma is an object of the cognition of I. In fact, Atma is the content of the cognition of I. However, that I, aham sukhi, aham dukhi, aham manushya, this reveals Atma. And therefore Atma is revealed, let us say. We may not say that Atma is known in a conventional sense, that a rose or a jasmine is known, but Atma is nevertheless known because Atma gets revealed. How does it get revealed? In the asmat pratyaya. In my appreciation of I. So Atma shines as I. Or Atma shines as the content of I. Or Atma is known as that which reveals this ahankara. That's what is being explained. Tatra hetumaha asmat pratyaya vishayatvat. Says number asmat pratyaya ahamiti adhyasah tatra bhasamanatvat ityarthah. So asmat pratyaya vishayatvat, this is what Bhashyakara says. The word asmat pratyaya is explained in two ways by the Tikakara. What is asmat pratyaya? Asmat pratyaya ahamiti adhyasah. The aham adhyasa. The superimposition of the sense of individuality is called asmat pratyaya vishaya. I means the individual self. And so that sense of individuality which is superimposed upon I, this is called the adhyasa. So asmat pratyaya is ahamiti adhyasa tatra bhasamanatvat. Atma shines in his adhyasa aham sukhi, aham dukhi, etc. Now look at the Purnanandya at the end of page 49. Nanu jnana ghatita phalabhaktvam api na vyapakam samshayadi nivritti. That is okay. Visishta is achade. Jnana prayukta phalabhaktvam vyapakam samshayadi nivrittehe vyapaka sharira praveshastu phalasphutardha tasman laghavam durapnavam iti vijnayam. Well, that was just a technical question. He says, Jnana ghatita phalabhaktvam. Meaning, when the knowledge takes place, then the phala of the elimination of samshaya and nivritti must take place. Then that alone, he says, na vyapakam samshayade nivritti vishistatvena gauravat. You say that samshaya, viparya, etc. must also be eliminated, and that kind of knowledge that eliminates samshaya, viparya alone is called knowledge. So he says, Jnana prayukta phalabhaktmayo vyapakam. All we are saying is an object is known when that knowledge eliminates samshaya, viparya, etc. Samshayadi nivrittehe vyapaka sharira praveshastu phalasfutartah. What is meant by phalabhaktvam? Meaning that knowledge must create its effect. What is the effect? Effect of elimination of samshaya and viparya. So that word phala was explained by us as samshaya the nivritti. And so, even if you say jnana prayukta phalabhaktvam, that is quite okay. Okay, now Purnananda explains this statement of Ratnaprabha. Asmat pratyaya ahamiti adhyasah tatra bhasamanatvad. Says Purnananda, Atmanah swaprakashatvena vrittau pratibimbitattvena cha bhasamanatvam ahankarasya tu sakshavedyatvena bhasamanatvam iti bhedah. So we are saying that two things simultaneously shine or are known. One is adhisthana, other is aropya. One is atma, other is ahankara. Both of them are known simultaneously. However, both of them are known differently. How? Atmanah swaprakashatvena vrittau. Atma is known two ways. Atmanah swaprakashatvena. Since Atma is self-shining or self-effulgent, in fact there is no need for it to reveal itself through a vritti. In case of an object like a rose can reveal itself only when the rose becomes an object of the vritti of the nature of rose. So only a ghata, for example, can be known only when ghata reveals itself through the ghatakara vritti. Otherwise, ghata, in spite of being there, will not be known. As we said earlier, the process of knowing ghata is identified as in two steps. One is what we call vritti vyapti, other is called phala vyapti. So what is vritti vyapti is that this antahkaranam along with Chaitanya reaches the ghata, assumes the form of the ghata and appears in the form of a ghatakara vritti. And second is phala vyapti, that the reflected consciousness in the vritti reveals that object ghata. Because vritti is jada and jada vritti cannot reveal an object, and therefore it is consciousness that reveals an object. However, consciousness being sarva samanya also cannot reveal an object, so vritti also is required in order to eliminate the ignorance pertaining to the object. Otherwise you say that consciousness is all pervasive and it illumines everything. How come we don't know everything simultaneously? Everything should be known simultaneously. But answer is no. Vritti, Chaitanyam is not opposed to ignorance. What is opposed to ignorance is vritti. So ghatakara vritti alone is opposed to ghata ajnanam and natu Chaitanyam. So ghatakara vritti eliminates the avaranam pertaining to the ghata, and then the Chaitanyam reflected in the vritti reveals that object as ghata. So there is vritti vyapti, meaning the antahkaranam assuming the form of vritti, and phala vyapti, the reflected consciousness revealing that vritti. This is a process that takes place in the case of knowledge of an object. However, that process is not required in case of knowledge of Atma. It is true that vritti vyapti is required, that there must be an appreciation or understanding that I am Purnaha, Anandaha. However, the second step, namely phala vyapti, that the reflected consciousness will reveal that Atma, is not necessary because Atma is self-revealing. So that is only a distinction. So that point not being understood, all these questions arise. These people place the Atma in the same category as Ghata. And whatever criteria is necessary for the knowledge of Ghata, they expect those criteria to be satisfied in case of Atma also. And we are all the time making a point that no, Atma is something different from Ghata. And therefore the kind of mechanism that obtains in the knowledge of Ghata is not necessary in case of Atma, because Atma is Swayam Prakasha hai. So Atmanah Swaprakashatvena. Since Atma is Swaprakasha, is self-effulgent. Vrittau, so therefore it is known without any effort. Atma being self-effulgent is known effortlessly. That which is known effortlessly alone is called self-effulgent. Everything is known with effort or with some mechanism. For other things, pramanam is required for any object to reveal itself. Atma does not require any pramanam to reveal itself. Even Shruti also is not pramanam to reveal Atma. Shruti is pramanam only to make us understand Atma. So Shruti is the pramanam for the object to reveal itself. That way there is no pramanam to reveal the Atma, because Atma is self-revealing. However, we are committing an error pertaining to Atma. Atma, who is limitless, is taken to a limited self. And there is an error, means this adhyasa takes place. Superimposition takes place. Therefore, Shruti, what does it do? The words of the Shruti enable us to see the adhyasa as adhyasa. And thus eliminate the adhyasa, and that way enable us to recognize the true nature of Atma. That's all. Atma is known all right, but is known wrongly. And that error that is being committed, adhyasa that is there, is to be eliminated. And this is what the words of the Shruti accomplish. So Atma shines in its own right, being self-effulgent, and Atma shines in a different way also. Vrittau pratibimbittatvena cha. And every vritti reflects Atma. It's the nature of vritti of the mind to reflect the Atma, and therefore Atma is reflected in every vritti also. Atma is self-effulgent, therefore shines, and Atma also is reflected in every vritti. Light is self-effulgent, therefore shines, and light illumines its object. So when I perceive an object such as microphone, I perceive two things. I perceive microphone as well as light that illumines the microphone. So light is reflected in the microphone. So light is known two ways, as it shines by itself, and secondly, as reflected in the microphone. Except that light as it shines cannot become the object of perception of the eyes. Light as reflected alone can become the object of perception. That there is light is Sakshi Bhasyam. But that this light is known to me is only when it gets reflected in an object. So this is nature of self-effulgent things, self-shining things, that they are known when they get reflected in the object that they illumine, which we discussed earlier. That is abhivyangya. So that which is in fact revealed by this object, or that which is responsible for revealing the object called microphone, and that's the light. So light illumines the microphone, and light gets illumined in a way, inasmuch as light gets reflected in the microphone, and therefore the presence of light is known to us. So presence of light is known to us not directly, but as that which reveals or illumines the microphone. Atma also is like that. It shines by itself, therefore it is known. And secondly, it illumines ahankara. It illumines every vritti, and therefore as that which illumines the vritti or the ahankara, also Atma is known. We say that Atma is reflected in every vritti. Atma is known as that which illumines the vritti. Atmanah svaprakashatvena vrittau pratibimbittatvena cha bhasamanatvam. In these two ways, Atma is known. Ahankarasya tu sakshya vidyatvena bhasamanatvam. Ahankara, on the other hand, is an object, and therefore Ahankara is something that is revealed by the Atma, that is illumined by the Atma. And so Ahankara is known as that which is illumined. But Ahankara also is not an object of perception by the sense organs. Ahankara is known directly to the Sakshi. Sakshi vidyatvena bhasamanatvam. So like all the mind, the vrittis of the mind, like happiness and unhappiness, all those feelings, how are they known to us? Not that I see those feelings by eyes, etc. But then I know them directly. So that form of knowledge is called Sakshi Vidyatvam. Sakshi means a witness. So the vrittis of the mind are directly illumined by the witness and known to the witness. Ahankara also falls in that category. Explains the Purnanandiya Tathahi. To explain, Ahankar Abhav Vishishta Sushuptyadi Kale अहमिति अध्यास पूर्व काले च स्वप्रकाशत्वेन आत्मा स्फुटं प्रतीयते. He says ahankara abhava. First is atmana swaprakashatvena bhasamanatvam. Without the vritti also Atma shines. How does it shine? Atmana swaprakashatvena vrittau pratibimbitattvena cha. I'm sorry. Ahankar abhava vishishta sushuptyadi kale. In such states as sushupti. Ahankar abhava vishishta. In sushupti there is no ahankara. In Mursha there is no ahankara. In Samadhi there is no ahankara. So there are such states where there is an absence of ahankara, meaning the sense of individuality. I get lost completely. Whenever I get lost in any experience, also ahankara is not there. Ahankara abhava vishishta susuptyadi kale ahamiti adhyasa purva kale cha. And when you wake up in the morning, there is a fraction of a moment when there is a general knowledge, but then the knowledge of aham in particular is not there. There is a little transition period. From sushupti where there is a total absence of ahankara to the waking where there is a distinct sense of ahankara. There is a transition period. That has to be. We don't recognize it. Ramana Maharshi used to recommend meditation at that time. So when you just wake up, then arrest that moment. So we are in such great hurry that the moment is lost completely. But there has to be a transition between total absence of ahankara and the presence of ahankara. So before that adhyasa takes place, in that moment, he says, ahamiti adhyasa purva kale cha swaprakashatvena atma sphutam pratiyate. It is not that the atma does not shine at that time, then also atma shines. After waking up also you know that you are, when you are lost completely in a certain experience, while doing japa or while listening to music or something like that, and all of a sudden you become aware of things, but then you know that you are there. And so atma swaprakashatvena atma sphutam pradiyate. So they are the states when atma clearly shines because it is self-effulgent without the need for an aham vritti. So it is not that even aham vritti is required for atma to shine, because atma shines and therefore aham vritti shines, not the other way around. Atah eva atmanishtham prakashatva prayukta phalabhaktva rupa bhasamanatvam. And therefore prakashatva prayukta phalabhaktva rupa bhasamanatvam atmanishtham. Atma has bhasamanatvam, or atma is known inasmuch as it is self-effulgent, and on account of its self-effulgence, the samshaya viparya pertaining to atma are not there, and that is how atma is said to be known. Ahankaradinishta sakshi vidyatva prayuktat phalabhaktva rubhasamanatvat bhinnam. Ahankara on the other hand is known also, but how? Sakshi vidyatva. Ahankara has sakshi vidyatva in as much as ahankara has to be eliminated by the sakshi. And then alone the doubts or error pertaining to ahankara and any other vritti are also eliminated. So the difference between the knowledge of atma and knowledge of ahankara and all the anatma is that in case of atma it is swaprakasha, and that is how it is bhasamana. In the case it is sakshi vidya, and that is how bhasamanatvam is there. So bhasamanatvam of atma and bhasamanatvam of ahankara are of different nature. Although both of them possess bhasamanatvam, because what is bhasamanatvam? Where there is a elimination of samshaya, viparya, etc. So that happens. However, the nature of bhasamanatvam is different. In one case, swaprakashatvena, other case, sakshi vidyatvena. Atmanah vritti pratibhimbita chaitanya vishayatva abhavevi vritti vishayatvam asti iti parihara granthartha. Idea is Atmanah vritti pratibhimbita chaitanya vishayatva abhavevi. Atma is not illumined by reflected consciousness because it is self-effulgent. However, it is still known, and that is how the knowledge of Atma is of a different nature from the knowledge of Anatma. So Ratnaprabha said, Asmat pratyaya ahamit adhyasa tatra bhasamanatva. ahamit adhyasa bhasamanatvat. When there is aham adhyasa, Atma shines there and therefore it is known. Or asmadartha chidatma, depending on what is the meaning of asmat. Two meanings are there. One meaning of asmat is ahankara, other meaning of asmat is chidatma. If asmat pratyaya is interpreted as ahankara or adhyasa, then in adhyasa also Atma shines because adhyasa is revealed by Atma and that being a vritti, that also reflects Atma. If you say asmat means chidatma, the primary meaning, asmadartha chidatma, pratibimbitattvena yatra pratiyate, then chidatma gets reflected in ahankara and all the other vrittis. Saha asmat pratyaya ahankara hai. So asmat pratyaya is ahankara hai, where that asmat meaning chidatma is asmat pratiyate yasmin saha asmat pratyaya. But asmat pratyaya is explained two ways. Asmat pratyaya ahamit adhyasa or asmat yatra pratiyate saha asmat pratyaya. Asmat means chidatma. Where this chidatma is known or where the chidatma is revealed is called asmat pratyaya. So ahankara. One meaning of asmat pratyaya is adhyasa. Second meaning of asmat pratyaya is ahankara. In ahankara also Atma shines as reflected by that aham vritti. Tatra bhasvanatva. Therefore in Kenopanishad we find pratibodha viditam matam. When Brahman is known as bodham bodham pratividitam, that every bodha or every cognition reveals Brahman. How does it reveal? As that which is reflected, as that which illumines. So when a vritti is known, obviously there is something that illumines that vritti. And that illuminator, Brahman, that I am, that Sakshi is Brahman. So vritti becomes a pointer for the knowledge of Atma, which is the illuminator of the vritti. Not that Atma is known as object of vritti, meaning Atma is not seen as vritti. However, every vritti reveals the presence of Atma as that which reveals that vritti, as a very sakshi of that vritti. In that way also Atma is known in vritti. Therefore it is asmat pratyaya vishaya. In that sense, not that it is something that is objectified as asmat pratyaya, but something that is revealed by asmat pratyaya. Says Purnanandya, yatra ahankare pratiyate atma sah ahankara asmat pratyaya अन्वय हो गए. तत्र अहंकारे तद अधिष्ठानत्वेन प्रतिबिंबितत्वेन च आत्मनः भासमानत्वात्. Thus ahankara reveals Atma in two ways. Number one, that there is adhishthanatvam. Ahankara is there, so Atma is known as adhisthana of the ahankara, or ahankara shines, Atma is known as that which is reflected in the ahankara. In both ways, Atma is known by asmat pratyaya. Therefore, Bhashyakara says in a secondary sense, Atma is asmat pratyaya vishaya. Asmat pratyaya vishayatvat aparokshatvat cha. That aparokshatvat is explained. And before that there is a question there. Nacha, Bharatnavara says, Nacha adhyase sati bhasamanatvam tasmin sati sahayadi parasparashrayadi vachyam. Adhyase sati bhasamanatvam. Now there is a problem here. You say that Atma is known. When is Atma known? Only when Adhyasa is there. Then only Atma is known. If Atma reveals itself, when is the light known? Only when it is revealed by the object that is illumined by the light. But what comes first? Does the light come first or this illumination comes first? Meaning that microphone is illumined by the light. So light is known because it is illumined by the microphone. But microphone is known because it is illumined by the light. See, it's funny, isn't it? Light is known because it gets reflected in microphone, therefore we say there is light. But how did the microphone get revealed in the first place? Because it is illumined by the light. So please tell us, this Anyonya Ashraya. In order to establish light, presence of light, it is necessary that the microphone must be illumined. In order for the microphone to be illumined, it is necessary that the light must be there. So illumination of microphone is established by the light, and presence of light is established by illumination of microphone, is called Anyonya Ashraya. Each one becomes the cause for the other one. In which case you cannot determine which came first. It is like saying that, God is truth. What is God? The answer is, God is truth. What is truth? Truth is God. And what is God? God is truth. What is truth? Truth is God. Then you come back and forth. You cannot arrive at any ascertainment. Where is your house? Opposite Pan Galla. Where is Pan Galla? Opposite my house. So how will you search now? For the Pan Galla to be known, the house must be known. For house to be known, this Pan Galla must be known. And therefore, how will you find out that place? This is called Anyonya Ashraya. This is dosha. Meaning, our intellect gets stunned at that time, doesn't know how to proceed. And here also we do not know how to proceed. Adhyasa, ahankara adhyasa must be there for Atma to be known as something that is Sakshi of that adhyasa. But that adhyasa cannot be known unless it is illumined by the Sakshi. And therefore, there is Anyonya adhyasa here. Paraspara adhyasa. It says, Nacha, adhyasa sati bhasamanatvam. Only when adhyasa is there, aham vritti is there, then Atma is known. Tasmin sati saha. Only when Atma is there, that adhyasa is there. Iti paraspara ashraya iti navachyam. Well, don't say that this is a problem here. This is a standard answer that the Vedantins give. Why? Anaditvat. It's anadi. And therefore, the point is, answer has to be given because regardless of whether your question can be answered, anirvachaniyatvad we will say also. But you cannot deny the fact that Atma shines. That adhyasa is there and Atma, you cannot deny the fact. If you cannot explain the fact logically, it doesn't mean the fact does not exist. Those fellows insist that if you cannot explain it logically, it is not there. We say, no, we are not obliged to give you logic when there is direct experience. Nahi drashte anupannam nama. When something is known, you cannot prove it to be illogical because it is known. So fact remains that there is ahankara adhyasa, and fact remains that Atma is known as something reflected by ahankara or as sakshi of the ahankara. You cannot refute it by saying that which came first. But we must give them an answer which will satisfy them. What is the answer? Anaditvat.